Hey, good morning, folks. I am still in Lynchburg, getting ready to head to my appointment here. We are heading to do a consultation here at First Baptist Church of South Lynchburg. And we're going to see what we can help them out with. And then we're going to see if we can catch up with any more folks here before I head back to the Richmond area. All right, let's go. All right, folks, so let's we're going to be putting together a system for I think in comparison to my home church, it's about half the size of the chapel, but it's just a lot wider. So what I want to do is they just put in a new sound system, so I don't need to worry about that. But I'm limited in the amount of space that's available for a media booth. I'm gonna try and include some pictures here that I took while I was there, so that way you can see kind of what I'm working with. So as you can see in this one photo, it's kind of like a little area right there, but the pastor was pretty much saying that he is willing to, it's about maybe 8 chairs that are in the area where the current camera is. So we're thinking about just completely removing a row of chairs out of there, and we're just going to put a table, so that way that's going to be the workstation. So with that being said, we're kind of limited on how much equipment we can actually be there. We want to be as economical in our space and the amount of gear that we're going to be using there, but we still want to be able to accomplish everything that they need. So what we're going to do is, instead of it being a separate system for your live streaming, as well as a system for scripture, lyrics, as well as video editing and recording for podcasts, we're pretty much going to make a workstation to where it can handle all of those tasks. So let's go over here, and I want to walk through explaining the system that I'm putting together for them. All right, so here is the system, and this is obviously going to be a little bit more expensive than we normally would build, because now we're putting all of it in one system. So for my CPU of choice, I am going with the Ryzen 5 2600. Now again, I could go with the 3600, but again, we're looking for price to performance, and for right now, based off of what they're going to be using this for, maybe 2 to 3 days of the week they'll be using this system. And the fact that I can get this for around like $117, I think this is a deal, especially for it being a 6-core at 3.4, but it can easily be overclocked to 4 gigahertz. Instead of the typical gigabit board, I'm going with an ATX board, so we can just have some more space, because I didn't want to go with a ITX board and then might need to add something later. So that's what that's for. I'm going to use some Team T-Force Vulcan Z 16 gigabit DDR4 at 3000 megahertz. Now I could go with the 3200 megahertz for about like $10 more, and I actually may do that. I just didn't see that listing in here when I made this. I am going to go with the Silicon Power 512 gigabyte M.2 NVMe drive. I actually have used this in a last couple of builds. Very stable, fast performer. That's going to run all of our software as well as the operating system. But I am also going to include a Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte drive just for video storage, getting into the point of understanding how to edit and things like that outside of just live streaming. Now, because I'm not using the APU like I normally would, I wanted to have a dedicated GPU, and mainly not that the APU isn't capable, but since this is going to be doing 3 monitor outs, I wanted to have something that could actually handle that. We have one output, obviously, is going to be for the screen for everybody to see. The other screen is going to be one that's going to be maintaining like the live stream stuff, as well as the third is going to be the one that's going to be going into the ATEM switcher that we're going to be putting together. All right, and that's the reason why I wanted to do that. Can the APU handle that? Yes, it can, but the motherboard only had 2 video outs, and I could have gone with a USB video card. Didn't want to do that either, so just wanted to have it all in the system. That's the reason why I went with that. For our case, I've upgraded the cases that I normally use to the Cooler Master NB600L with an optical drive. This is an older congregation where they're still doing CDs and they want to get into DVDs. A disc drive is still needed for them, an optical disc drive. So I just went with a LG 24X DVD writer. Nothing really to write home about. Now with all of this, it's saying from a wattage usage, we're only at 254. So I don't really need to go crazy with this, but I'm gonna get an EVGA 500 watt power supply, bronze certified, used these before. That's great. Right now, I only have one Acer 1080p monitor, which is fine. And of course, we're going to go with Windows 10 Home. No need to go professional. And we just have the MK120, the basic slim optical mouse and keyboard. And then, surprisingly, I am going with the Elgato HD60 Pro for the capture device. Now, as much as I love the BlackMagic ones, and I can get a 4K support at $195, the Elgato will give me 60 frames per second at $160, about $15 more than what the Decklink Mini, the non-4K version is. Now that one does not support 60 frames per second. Now the reason I'm going with this, and instead of the 4K version of the Decklink, is because the video switcher we're going to be putting in place is going to be the ATEM Mini. And again, I don't know what output that thing supports at. I'm assuming it's going to be just like in the range of the ATEM Television Studio HD, similarly to what I personally have. So I wanted to be able to support up to the max of what that pushes out, and that's going to be 1080p at 60 frames a second. And I didn't want to throw in the Decklink not knowing what it's going to be. And honestly, I might not even need this, because again, we're doing the ATEM Mini, so everything can be pushed in through as a webcam. I'm only including this just because I just don't know. So easily we can knock out $160 off this price if once I get my hands on the ATEM Mini, and I do a review and I find out all the stuff that I really don't know about it, the bit rate, all this other stuff like that, this can probably be removed. So we're looking at right now, it's saying it's 133, but if we take off the 160, we're looking at the system is around right at $1,020 the way it's set up right now. Or if we get rid of the if we get rid of the capture card, we're at around like $850 for the entire system. So I think that's a great deal for a computer that's going to be able to do the video editing, audio, live streaming, as well as scripture all at the same time. Just a workstation type of setup. All right. So now, and as I said, we already talked about the other thing that we're going to be doing, which is going to be the ATEM Mini. So again, that's going to be adding about that's $300 inside of there. Now, the good thing is we don't necessarily need another computer just to control that. So now, since you have the controls right in front of you, you don't need to worry about, oh, I need another screen to control the ATEM software to do that. Now the software is going to be included, but it's going to be set up for just the keypad here on the ATEM is going to be what they're using. So I think this is going to be a great fit. The only other thing is going to have to probably get some cables. Most likely I'm going to run an audio out from their current sound system that they just had in place, because these are like headphone jacks that are plugging in, not even 1/4 inch, I forgot the measurement, but normal stereo connections that are going in the back for the audio. So like I did at my church, I'm probably going to do, instead of running a long XLR and shrinking it all the way down, I might actually see if I can run everything over Ethernet. Don't know yet. I mean, again, I've tested that, but we'll see. That is an option in this setup. So that's what we're doing. Now, the other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing 2 ATA imaging cameras like we've used before, PTZ cameras, one to go in the back, one to go in the front of the sanctuary. And these are great. We get 2 of these, and then we're going to get a remote and a mount and all that other good stuff. So let me go ahead and put all of it together in a diagram, and we'll see. Oh, and I'm sorry, the other thing I did not do is I'm looking to do about 2 to 3 35-inch screen TVs that's going to go in these areas in the sanctuary. So one on the left and the right, and the confidence monitor in the back. So I got to be aware of where we mount this camera so that it's not in the way of the TV. Most likely I might put the TV over it and the camera there. I still don't know. It's just playing around with it. So I'm pricing it for 2. That's what we said, but maybe the third one we can throw in as well too. Now for that, we're going to do the HDMI out coming out of the ATEM, and then obviously we're going to need a splitter. I think I might still go with the Ori HDMI to Ethernet extenders and get the 4x1 for that, because they do have a TV downstairs. So I might have to get an up-down cross converter like I have at my church, and I did it Good Shepherd, so that I don't know what type of TV it was down in the fellowship hall downstairs. So we have to see, but obviously I don't think, well, I just don't know. So I may not need that at all. So let's go ahead, and what I was trying to say originally, I'm gonna throw this together in a design and just see how all this works together. All right, here is the end result. And sorry that I'm not on camera, the sun has came in, so it's like the picture quality is horrible. So you're just gonna be listening to my voice. So what we're gonna do is, here's the custom PC, connected over HDMI to the ATEM Mini. Then we also have the 2 ATA imaging PTZs, one in the front, one in the back, running SDI out into an SDI to HDMI converter, which goes HDMI 3 and 4 into the ATEM, which leaves us 1 extra slot available for our ATEM Mini. Also, those PTZs, they are daisy chained with their control. So we're going to have our remote connects. We're going to convert this over to Ethernet, then back to the converter to RSR, I forgot what it was, 232, no, RS232, I think that's what it is. Then that's daisy chained out of this camera to the front camera, so we don't have to run it straight to the remote. So that's how we're going to get our control. Power is available in both locations. And then outside of that, from the current sound system, we're just going to run whatever type of cable, which I don't know at this point in time, most likely XLR, then convert over to the end here, similar to the cable I have on the 4K TV in our chapel. But we're going to run in audio here so we get house sound. And then we're going to come out from the ATEM. Actually, I forgot the cable. For right now, yeah, I left out a bunch. So right now, we're going to do HDMI. No. Yeah, I forgot a cable. But anyway, we're going to come HDMI out of the ATEM Mini from HDMI to, dang, I just thought about it. I did put the wrong card in here. So what I need to do is change this. I need to have a splitter here, and this splitter is going to go from HDMI out so that it goes HDMI into the live streaming PC, as well as an HDMI to SDI converter, which goes to an SDI distribution, which has 8 outputs, but we're going to run those to the 2 TVs in the front and the TV in the back. So we have future growth if we ever need to. We can always run 5 more connections out of here if need be. I was getting ready to say I was going to run an SDI from here into the system, but I forgot we went with the Elgato So I might even want to invest in getting the Decklink 4K mini recorder, and then I don't need to do the splitter. I could just run the additional SDI out into this. But again, that is if, you know what, I don't even know why I included the capture card. I don't need to do that, because we're going to still just run from the ATEM Mini into this system as a webcam. So I'm gonna scratch $150 off that system and not even include the capture card in there at all. So, and then each one of the TVs is gonna have another BlackMagic SDI to HDMI converter velcroed to the back, so it'll have a HDMI cable that connects to that, and that's pretty much it. So let me try this camera here. All right, so again, you see the lights are changing and behind me, the sun is coming in. But anyway, that's what we're looking to put together to do all of that in that whole system. This is almost the same thing I did at Good Shepherd, but just the technology has changed and it made it significantly cheaper in price to do in comparison. So I think they're going to be happy with the price that I gave, and that was it, guys. So what I'm going to do is, when we move forward, if they approve the estimate, I will take y'all along with me when we install it and we do some training with them. So anyway, I hope y'all like look in this new project that I'm working on and how I'm designing the whole thing, and that's about it. So if you like this type of content, I would appreciate a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. This is AJ, and we will see you on the next video. Later.